Tonight on To The Point.
Take a look at what happened.
Fallout after an attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump.
We got down, and we huddled, and we started praying.
President Biden calling for unity in a primetime address.
We cannot, we must not go down this road in America.
Now tonight with the Republican convention taking center stage.
JD, JD, JD.
Trump announcing his running mate, while outside the convention, protests.
And I think he should be held responsible for his actions.
In a country wondering what happens next. Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on To The Point. I'm Alex Bell. Tonight in Your Voice, Your Vote, we have team coverage taking you live to the Republican National Convention floor. Our political analyst is live in studio, helping us break down the impact of what has happened since the attempted assassination on Saturday. We're also hearing from California delegates tonight and why there are more than 60 officers from California in Milwaukee this week. About 50,000 politicians, delegates, and media personnel are said to be at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Today, the delegate count put Trump over the top to officially become the Republican Party's presidential nominee. Now, J.D. Vance was also announced as Trump's vice presidential nominee. He is a senator from Ohio. He is 39 years old, best known for his 2016 book, Hillbilly Elegy, that was later turned into a film. And he is a former Marine serving in Iraq, and he also graduated from Yale Law School. Cheering overtook the convention in Milwaukee many times today.
The great state of Iowa proudly cast all of its 40 votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Republicans gathering in Milwaukee to formally nominate former President Donald Trump as the GOP presidential candidate. The former president receiving enough convention delegate votes with today's official roll call. Trump choosing Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice president and running mate. This comes just 2 days after an assassination attempt on Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. The investigation into the shooting growing. The FBI says 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks fired the shots that injured Trump and 2 other people and killed 1 man. 50-year-old Corey Comparator hailed a hero for shielding his family. Investigators believe Crooks acted alone, the FBI looking through phone and computer records, talking to those who knew him, trying to determine a motive. Now, 2 law enforcement sources tell ABC News the building where Crooks climbed to the roof and opened fire was the staging area for a local police tactical team there to watch over the crowd. The Secret Service is facing major questions as to how Crooks was able to get so close to Trump. DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas is promising an independent review in an interview. And the Biden campaign releasing a statement on Trump's vice president pick tonight, saying in part that billionaires and corporations are literally rooting for J.D. Vance. They know he and Trump will cut their taxes and send prices skyrocketing for everyone else. And new tonight, special counsel Jack Smith says that he will appeal the dismissal of Donald Trump's classified documents case. A Florida judge dismissed the case earlier today, siding with defense lawyers who said the special counsel who filed the charges was illegally appointed by the Justice Department. The appeal could result in the case eventually being overturned by a higher court. And even with this, the prospect of a trial before the November election is highly unlikely. Meantime, tonight, we are hearing more reaction from local officials following this weekend's attempted assassination. California Congressman Kevin Kiley sharing this sentiment today.
I think it is perhaps an opportunity for us to step back and find a way to come together as a country. I think that, over time, our political divisions have just continued to get worse and worse. And so I'm hopeful that this can be a moment where we kind of pause and reflect on the values that we all share as Americans.
And there are 169 delegates from California at the convention. They are showing support for Donald Trump following this weekend's attempted assassination. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen spoke with delegates at the convention today.
Alex, with what happened this weekend in Pennsylvania, many California delegates say their message is unity. And California law enforcement officials are also making a presence to help with this week's event.
Thrilled because President Trump, former President Trump, survived the worst case scenario.
After narrowly surviving an attempted assassination, former President Donald Trump was voted as the Republican Party nominee at the Republican National Convention. Walter Allen is one of the delegates from California to make that happen.
We know that President Trump will do a lot for not only national security, but also for the states to have the ability to deal with security of our state borders.
As a council member for the city of Covina and a background in law enforcement, Allen says it's important to him to show his support to Trump. He believes Trump could address issues most important to Californians.
What's the number one concern of Californians? It's public safety. We have to take care of our drug addicted in a humane way, but they also need to be held accountable for a problem that they created.
Former Napa Vice Mayor Doris Gentry is also a delegate. She says after Saturday's shooting at the Republican rally, the mood has changed.
The mood is elevated times 1 million after what happened to Trump, after that horrific incident. You know, everybody was really pumped and excited to go to the convention.
When it comes to public safety, Cal OES sent 61 officers to the convention through the Emergency Management Assistance Compact. It's a nationwide mutual aid system typically used to send and get resources during emergencies and major pre-planned events.
The city of Milwaukee and Wisconsin determined that they were unable to fully staff the event with the law enforcement officers they have within their state.
Cal OES wants to make clear these officers have been assigned in May to go to the convention. The decision was made well before this weekend's attack on Trump.
We'll provide a number of public safety services, including crowd control, traffic management, site security, and anything else that the local authorities may need their help doing.
As this week's convention continues, Allen hopes the nation can come together.
We all need to work together.
Other California Republican delegates include Assemblymember Bill Asaili, former Speaker of the House of Representatives Kevin McCarthy, and Huntington Beach Mayor Tony Strickland, just to name a few. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you so much. We want to go ahead and take you out to Milwaukee tonight. ABC's Mary Alice Parks is live on the convention floor. Mary Alice, thank you so much for joining us tonight. During day one of the convention, Trump's vice presidential candidate, who was announced, what happened on the convention floor when that announcement was made?
Well, just moments before that, Alex, former President Donald Trump officially became the Republican nominee. They were doing what is called the roll call of states. There was actually a special moment where several members of Trump's own family, Eric Trump, Don Jr., Lara Trump, they were all standing there together representing the state of Florida. They cast all of Florida's votes, delegates for the former president, putting him over the edge. And it was right around that time, just moments before, that the former president had announced on Truth Social that he had picked Ohio Senator J.D. Vance to be his running mate. We saw him and his wife appear later. They shook hands. They were greeted so lovingly by this crowd. You can imagine this crowd had been so excited to hear who the final pick would be, and they were thrilled when he was here on the convention floor after that announcement, Alex.
And Trump has been the presumptive nominee for months. Were there any more, surprising moments during this delegate count?
You know, like I said, it was a special moment with his family, absolutely. But also, just a spirit of the party coming together. You can remember that even after, for instance, Nikki Haley dropped out of the race, we still saw some of those primaries where a significant number of delegates still went to her. But she had released her delegates to vote however they want, many of them choosing to support the former president. So really a feeling here of the party coming together. As you can imagine, it's a really celebratory feel here on the convention floor. And that was the sense as they were going through that roll call vote, that the party was united absolutely in sticking behind the former president.
And before we let you go, one more question. Security has been a concern following Trump's attempted assassination on Saturday. There were also protests outside the convention. Have you seen any changes on the convention floor in the last 24 hours? And also, what is security like where you are right now?
Yeah, Milwaukee is absolutely locked down. Security is so tight. I mean, blocks away, you start with barricades. They do serious checkpoints of every car coming through. The credentials that you need to get to where I am are specific almost to each floor, each hallway. This is designated as the highest security event. It has the highest designation for any security event that the Secret Service does. They say that they are sticking by their plans. They are proud of the plans they had even before the assassination attempt on former President Trump, but no doubt they have been reviewing all of those protocols. We know, Alex, the White House even told them they had to review all of their safety protocols to make sure that this was a safe convention, Alex.
Mary Alice Parks, thank you so much. Live in Milwaukee tonight. And ABC's news coverage from the convention does not end here. Right now, the team is getting ready to bring you more coverage, airing right here after To the Point. Don't miss the Republican National Convention. Your voice, your vote, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., airing tonight through Thursday. And I want to go ahead and bring in political analyst Steve Swat, as we were just talking about with Mary Alice. Former President Donald Trump making his VP pick, his announcement today. For people who aren't familiar with J.D. Vance, can you give us some background, and why do you think Trump chose him specifically?
Well, J.D. Vance is a repentant, never-Trumper. He has been quoted as saying about Trump years ago that he was an idiot and America's Hitler, but obviously he has changed his position. He was the first person out of the box on Saturday to pin the blame on Joe Biden for the assassination attempt. And a lot of people thought that obviously went too far, but so he's right with former President Trump. He is also with him, especially on the idea that Trump wants to hollow out the federal bureaucracy and replace middle management bureaucrats with individuals who are completely loyal to former President Trump. And according to J.D. Vance, he has said that if the courts say we can't do it, we should just ignore the courts. He'll be used primarily, I think, to help shore up and turn out the vote and turn out the vote in the upper Midwest. That's where he's from. He connects really well, I think, with those in the Rust Belt, the white working class, and I think he'll be used in that way.
And I do want to talk to you about the political and electoral environment, because it has changed drastically just over the last few months. Walk us through some of the major changes that we've seen, not just for Democrats, but also Republicans throughout all this.
Well, very briefly, go back to March, and that's when Nikki Haley dropped out of the race, and yet her name was still on various ballots during the primaries, and she was getting 8, 9, 10, 20% sometimes. And so there was a feeling at the time that perhaps Trump was in trouble with his own party. It wasn't a unified party. Fast forward to today, it's the most unified it's ever been, and Trump is seen by party members as a martyr who took a bullet for the MAGA folks. Go back several months, Joe Biden was winning every primary. He was getting like 99% of all the delegates. Now, his position at the top of the ticket is in jeopardy, and there's so much pressure for him to drop out. Whether he will or not, we don't know. He says he won't. But basically the scenario has flipped, and the Democratic Party is now really fractured.
Yeah, it's really changed a lot. And I mean, my next question is, where do the parties go from here in terms of campaigning? What happens next?
Well, in terms of campaigning, I think they're going to do what they have been doing over the last several years, and they're going to go directly to those states that hold the election in the balance. If you go back to 2024, there were 7 states with 94 electoral votes that were decided by 3% or less. And so those are the key swing states. You're going to see all the candidates there. You're never going to see a candidate in California unless he or she, in the case of Kamala Harris, comes out to California to raise money.
All right, Steve Swat, thank you so much. We appreciate you being here as always. All right, we still have a lot to get to. So after the break, we're going to have your weather plus much more news. Stay with us. So if you were like me this morning, I opened my windows. It was like 60 degrees out. And I was like, finally, my air conditioner is going to get a break.
Yeah, I know, almost needing a light sweatshirt, right? Yes. And highs today dramatically cooler than what we've been seeing over the past several days. For Sacramento executive finally dropping below average at 89. The last time we saw 80s, by the way, the first day of summer back on June 20th. Here's a look at the showers and thunderstorms. They are starting to quiet down right now for this year. And now the low pressure system sitting off the coast is driving in that onshore flow and the cooler Pacific air. It will eventually make it into the foothills and Sierra overnight tonight. Still at about 10 to 25 miles per hour. And again, a much cooler forecast for us for tonight. Forecast low at 60. Overnight lows will slowly start to drop. We're into the 70s by 9 p.m. Our Cal Expo State Fair forecast tomorrow in the low 90s. 90s still for Wednesday. Some of us getting close to 100 on Thursday. And then we're going to start that 100 trend and stretch of 100s again by Friday through the weekend and through the end of July. So we are going to be leaning warmer in the forecast. Highs for tomorrow close to 80 for the Sierra with mostly sunny skies. 80s and 90s through the foothills. So again, that onshore flow and the trickle of that breeze coming in will eventually make it into the foothills. 60s along the coast. We're in the 80s as we start to head into the coastal valley area, and the 90s again to right around the upper 80s throughout much of the valley for tomorrow. It will be a cooler pattern for the middle of our work week before the warmth starts to return for the mountains and the foothills. If you're doing any camping, by the way, for the foothills, it's going to be quite toasty this weekend with warm overnight lows once again. For the coast, we're in the 60s until we get to Thursday. Then we're bumping up those highs once again into the 70s, and we see that trend as well. 3-day forecast starting to showcase some of the warmth, building back by Wednesday into Thursday, and here comes the 100s as we expand it into our 10-day forecast, the stretch of 100s into next week.
Next, on To the Point, the woman accused of hitting and killing a local police officer appears in court, the charges that she's facing. Plus, what we're learning tonight about the massive AT&T data breach. Welcome back. In other news that we are following tonight, the woman accused of hitting and killing a Vacaville police officer was in court today facing several charges. The officer, 32-year-old Matthew Bowen, was initiating a traffic stop Thursday when he was hit from behind. ABC 10's Alicia Machado was in the courtroom today.
The Solano County District Attorney's Office filed a felony complaint alleging that the suspect, Serena C.J. Rodriguez, committed murder, further adding that Officer Bowen was intentionally killed while conducting his duties as a peace officer. The suspect accused of hitting and killing Officer Bowen during a traffic stop on Leisuretown Road in Vacaville last week appeared in court for arraignment Monday afternoon. The court appearance lasted just 3 minutes, and few words were exchanged between the judge and defendant, 24-year-old Serena C.J. Rodriguez. Rodriguez was given a public defender.
The felony complaint further alleges a special circumstance, stating that Matthew Bowen, an officer at the Vacaville Police Department, was intentionally killed while he was engaged in the performance of his duties.
Rodriguez is set to appear back in Solano County Superior Court for further arraignment next Monday. And we're learning new details about the crash. The CHP tells me a total of 5 vehicles were involved. That includes the suspect's vehicle and Officer Bowen's motorcycle. We're also learning that one person was taken to the hospital with minor injuries. Reporting in Fairfield, Alicia Machado, ABC 10.
The search for 2 Sacramento children continues today. Marks 1 week since 28-year-old Angelica Bravo was found dead inside of her home, and police have not been able to find her kids. 4-year-old Athena Lee and 3-year-old Mateo Lee. They are believed to be with their father, 38-year-old Cameron Lee. Police say his car was last seen entering Mexico. The children could be somewhere in Southern California. State and federal officials are trying to help find them. All right, let's get into your price points tonight. Patelco customers now have access to their bank accounts, balances, and online banking. It comes after 2 weeks after the credit union experienced a ransomware attack that shut down most of their services. The company has also created a dedicated hotline to help members impacted by the attack. Customers can call the hotline on your screen weekdays between 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. to get help with fees, late payments, or delayed transactions because of the attack. The company is also waiving most fees for the months of July and August. It's still unclear when all Patelco services will return. And new details tonight in that AT&T data breach. A hacker says the company paid them over $300,000 to erase stolen phone records. AT&T says call and text message records of nearly all of its cellular customers were exposed.
This can impact us from having data brokers and other sources of information that can find those phone numbers and track it back to who the person is, where they live, their usage patterns or routines. That's important, but it can also be used as really an impact for consumers with data privacy and trying to also steal identities.
AT&T says they learned back in April that customer data was illegally downloaded from a workspace on a third-party cloud platform. Coming up next on To The Point, we take you back out live to the Republican National Convention, the major takeaways from day one. Before we go tonight, here's another live look in Milwaukee of the Republican National Convention. This evening, Donald Trump officially gaining enough delegate votes to become the Republican presidential nominee. Trump also naming Ohio Senator J.D. Vance as his vice presidential nominee. And our coverage does not end here. Don't miss more coverage of the Republican National Convention. Your voice, your vote from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. tonight through Thursday, and ABC News will walk you through all of the highlights of each day with more political analysis right here on ABC 10 right after To The Point. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, make sure to reach out to me and the team. And remember, strangers are people we just haven't gotten the chance to meet yet. So take the time to get to know someone. Have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Hey, it's Alex. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. The To The Point team and I love hearing from you, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. And don't forget, you can always email me and the team at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send us a text message at 916-321-3310.